The views expressed in this presentation are those of the host and guests and do not represent the views of any lodge, Grand Lodge, appended body, or any other person or persons whomsoever.
Brethren, we are at Refreshment.
I'm a cool guy, right? You know, we're cool. He's like, yeah. Like, he kind of got all weird.
I see just a bunch of old guys eating hashed over crock pot food. And
well, you're just not high enough up in the conspiracy.
Oh, yeah.
And the potentate is right where you are. And what does he do? He just starts laughing his ass off.
And welcome to the At Refreshment Masonic video podcast. I'm your bearded host, Wesley Reuter. Let's introduce everyone else. We got
Brock, Raven 303.
He almost forgot his name. He's been drinking a little bit too much.
Well, we had so much time to, prepare for this evening.
Yeah.
Yoshi, Villa Park Lodge, number 1113.
Hi, my name's Marty. And if I call you in the middle of the night and you want to talk about Wes, I'd appreciate if you answer that call, because right around 1 a.m., I think about our host so much. Back to you, Wes.
And I'm past master of Azure LaGrange Lodge number 770 in Western Springs, current senior warden. Senior warden, is it right?
That is good.
And Raven 303 in Oswego.
I want like 8 of these beers.
Confirmed. Yeah. So,
yeah, you didn't even do the confirmed. I'm shocked. I can't believe it. Are you feeling all right?
Yeah, it's just like that.
My triangles never look cool. They always look obtuse.
That one looks good. That's a good looking triangle.
Okay,
you might want to straighten that bottom line. There
Yeah,
you go.
I don't have good thumbs.
It's all right.
I don't know. It looks more like a Hershey kiss to me, though.
It's all right.
I'm just saying.
Oh, that's what the
Conspiracy.
That's funny.
All right. Well,
are you guys ready to do the show? Or
yeah, we
can do the show.
Speaking of conspiracy.
Okay. Oh, this ought to be good.
Oh, God.
All right. Speaking of conspiracy, there's this thing out there. You may have heard of it, the moon landing. Yeah, that's
you mean that thing Stanley Kubrick did to fund his movies?
Maybe.
Isn't that guy?
Until Eyes Wide Shut.
We landed on the moon. But anyways, there are many conspiracies out there of the moon landing, all that fun stuff that has to do with space and Freemasonry. This is an episode that Brock here has been waiting to do for a while, and we should have done this back in the anniversary, but you're seeing it now. So, Brock, please start us off on what you want to do.
Okay, absolutely. So what I want to talk about is the fact of every conspiracy theorist out there says that the Freemasons are behind space, period. We are the ones controlling,
Like
we made space?
We made space?
Everything, yeah. Everything. Freemasons are 100% behind it. So there's a couple common things that go there. So you see the NASA logo and they say it's the serpent's tongue. That's the little red V in the logo.
But doesn't it have to do with Saturn and
space serpents? Yeah. Well, Saturn, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, all the conspiracy theorists are hyped on all that stuff. But so in my research on Freemasonry and space, I did find a lot of Freemasons that are connected to space. More than I would probably have thought. But one of the cool things about this, in my research, thinking about Freemasonry and our evolution as a group and how we've kind of evolved and changed. Freemasons, are blamed for everything because we're usually at the heads of a lot of different things where causes start or something like that. So it's not really a big thing to think, of course, Freemasonry is moving that next threshold to space, and of course they want to do that. So I'm not sure how far we want to start here into this, but do you guys want to start with some of the first Masons that were in the space programs that were?
We can get into conspiracy theories a little bit later, but why don't we talk about what we actually know with real astronauts that were real Freemasons?
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so the first Freemason...
You have the list there.
Yeah, I got it right here. So Gus Grissom was on Mercury 4, Gemini 3. He died in like a test flight. But he was one of the first astronauts, came from the Air Force, and he was a Mason from Ohio. And unfortunately, he passed away, and he didn't get to make it through the actual Apollo stuff and through the other missions that actually went to the moon. And
What
stuff
year was
like
that?
I don't know. I don't even have. It was probably in the 50s or something. I have no idea. I didn't write down.
No,
We're not a factual based show.
I know, right?
Don't check me on numbers.
Bullshit.
Here, man.
Everything is fact.
Yeah.
You know, though, real quick, I know you want to start talking about the astronauts and everything, and different members of NASA that are Freemasons. But I want to touch on what you said about how the conspiracy theorists think that we're all behind all the whatever they call it a hoax and everything. But like right now, you just introduced that brother. Okay, where did he come from? The Air Force, military. How big of an influence do we have in the, not influence, but like how big of a presence do we have in the military? There's tons of brothers that are military.
Okay? Yeah, absolutely.
But see, the thing is that the reason why I wanted to talk about this though is is there are Freemasons in everything. Mm-hmm. Okay, they're everywhere. And everybody wants to blame right away. It's like, oh no, there's Freemasons there. Like, oh, so they got to control everything. No, it ain't. It's not always that way.
I ain't even got control of my whole life.
I know, right? It's
how the heck am I going to control the world?
Like, I mean, they got nothing else to grab. Okay, that's all it is. Like, what are they doing over there? Wait a minute, there's a bunch of Freemasons. That stuff is just so stupid to me.
And once you see the list of names, you kind of start getting that conspiracy thought where you're like, well, of course, this guy, and the head of this guy, and the founder of this, and you start thinking about it. But it's like the thing we talked about before about like the Masons behind world wars and things like that. It's like there are Masons all over the country. These guys are from Ohio. The space things in Texas and in Florida. These Grand Lodges are rarely communicating, and not only that, those groups of Masons and these astronauts, they might be traveling to these other lodges and stuff. Might be exactly, but
see, that's another thing.
It's not a cabal here.
Yeah, that's another thing though too. Is I don't know about most other places, but most countries have one Grand Lodge. Here in the States, each state has their own Grand Lodge.
Absolutely.
And
does each state have their own astronomic Freemason?
Probably not. I mean,
why not?
Not everyone could be an astronaut.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, to become an astronaut, first off, you got to have that military background. You got to be in the Air Force. I'm pretty sure that's most of them, or some sort of Marine.
I just heard something. I don't know if you have to actually be in the military, but
to become, it helps.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
Same thing becoming like a police officer. It helps if you're in the military.
Before I left the house to come to this recording, on the news, they were saying that they're looking for more astronauts.
Really?
And they need a master's degree in such and such. But I don't remember them saying,
look,
you
either
need
way,
to be a military.
Well, the new space race is the private industry space race.
That's true. Yeah. But look, man, you got to have training to become an astronaut. You have to be the best of the best to become an astronaut.
Well, you got to think of the situations like we were talking about this Gus Grissom. Mm-hmm. Like in one of the first, they were testing the little rover lander that would actually land on the moon or whatever. And dude, they're just testing this in like a field somewhere, and he's driving around, and the thing starts going crazy, and the thing's literally going sideways. He just ejects, parachutes out, and lands. The thing crashes. A multi-million-dollar machine blows up, crashes. The dude goes back and does paperwork at his desk after that. Like fills out the rest of the paperwork from house. So, dude, just cool as can be, man. Like just old school hard ass, man.
Yeah,
it takes a certain kind of person to be like,
you have to have the right stuff.
Okay, here.
You ever hear that? You ever hear that saying? You have to have the right stuff.
Right.
And that's not everybody has the right stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Here it is. Mercury 4, Liberty Bell 7, Gemini 3, Apollo 1. The first astronaut to die inside an American spacecraft. Grissom, piloting Liberty Bell 7, became the second American to go into space on July 21st, 1961. That flight, popularly known as Liberty Bell 7, was a suborbital flight that lasted 15 minutes and 37 seconds that nearly killed the veteran test pilot when explosive bolts detonated, sinking the capsule. On July 27th, 1967, 2 years before the Apollo landing, while training for what would be the first Apollo mission, AS-204, a fire was sparked in the oxygen-rich capsule which killed Grissom and his two fellow astronauts, Edward White and Roger. The mission was redubbed Apollo 1 in honor of the crew. Grissom was a member of Mitchell Lodge number 228, Mitchell, Indiana. That's his lodge.
Wait, was Gordon Cooper a part of that mission?
It says it just said astronauts Edward White and Roger, so I'm assuming.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I was doing some research,
White.
there was a brother I wanted to bring up, if I may. His name was Gordo Cooper Jr. And I thought this is really cool, really interesting. When he was doing his thing, he carried with him an official 33rd degree jewel and a Scottish Rite flag.
Absolutely.
Okay, but he died tragically in the Apollo 1 fire at Cape Kennedy on January 27th, 1967. I wanted to bring that up because I thought that was something
Leroy
really
Gordon,
cool.
Gordo Cooper. Jr.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
And he was so that's another thing that I also have.
Not to cut you off, but he was a member of Carbondale Lodge number 82 in Carbondale, Colorado.
Okay.
Honorary 33rd degree in the Scottish Rite.
Wow. Yeah, and so he was one of a few people he was the first one to bring the Scottish Rite jewel into space, and he was also the second person to bring the Scottish Rite flag. All right, he might have been one of the first ones to bring into space, but
do you know if it was the same flag or was it a different one?
I believe they're different flags.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but I do know that Buzz Aldrin also brought a Scottish Rite flag.
We saw them when I House the Temple in DC.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, we got to see the flag and what else did they?
They had his golf club.
Yeah,
they had his golf club.
Yeah.
The golf club. Yeah,
and they have like a 10-year coin that is pretty common. They have like I've seen that at the Scottish Rite in Chicago. We have a couple of artifacts from space and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Also, in doing the research for this episode, me and Wes looked at the Scottish Rite Library and we looked up to try to figure out if the Valley of Chicago had anything on Freemasonry in space. And there was a few articles and some books, but the only thing that we could find that was a Scottish Rite document that was published about space was the New Age magazine in 1969 published an article on Freemasons in space and talked a little bit about little of the Scottish Rite stuff within that, but it wasn't anything more revealing than anything crazy. You know, there was nothing really published out there that was.
Yeah, I was hoping. Oh, he shook hands with an alien and stuff.
Well, who knows, man? You want to hear about that dark side of the moon stuff? You know, all the conspiracies. You know, you want to figure it out.
Yeah,
you know?
they're fun, but we're talking about actual Masons that just went into space or landed on the moon.
Absolutely.
Whether you believe it or not, these brothers are recognized as doing such.
Yeah.
So,
but you know, it doesn't. It's not only because I got a few brothers that were astronauts, and then the only person I could see that was an administrator,
was a lady astronaut that was a rainbow girl too. They talk about her a lot. I forget her name.
Oh wow, really? I didn't even see that.
I didn't either. That
never came
awesome.
up.
Yeah,
cool.
I totally
Wow. No, that's really cool.
Yeah, but she's kind of like our George Washington. We were like, look at him, he's a Mason. Look at her.
Oh, okay.
They throw her name out there pretty deep. I forget what it is, but I bet if the camera pans off me for a little bit, Google will help me.
But I only saw one NASA administrator, and his name was James Edwin Webb. Everybody else that I found was just an astronaut. I don't know if you said you had the list over there. Is there anybody else that were they all mainly astronauts, or were there any other administrations?
Yeah, there was quite a few. Yeah, so there was a few back in the early foundings that I had found, but one of the cool ones that I had found was, and I don't know how to pronunciate his name. I wish we had it pulled up somewhere. He was
because this is only giving me the astronauts.
Yeah,
I can't find the list of.
He was the head of NASA at the time, and his brother was also the head of the Southern Jurisdiction Scottish Rite Supreme Council.
Oh, okay.
And so it was something along those lines where there was a lot of connections there because, you know, him and his brother were family. They were Masons, and that was an important part of the founding.
Are you talking about Farouk El-Bayas?
No.
Okay, all right. That's. Maybe they already know what I'm talking about, but
yeah. So also, there's a few other guys here on my list that I'd definitely like to talk about. Do you guys have? Did you guys come across John Glenn?
Oh yeah, John Glenn's OG.
Absolutely. So John Glenn was made a Mason on site.
I didn't read that. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
That's cool.
Anytime anyone's that kind of like far up there, like I'm sure like right now, if like anyone who really excelled at any field, be it literature, sports, science, walked in, there's like, I want to be a Mason. Bet.
But I mean,
But I don't hear
think about that though.
Look, come on, man. How many people do we know? I've only been at one of those things,
And
it
he
was
was
still,
sick.
and it was still kind of a ceremony, man. It wasn't just you're a Mason.
Yeah,
You know, it's still a ceremony. You know,
I know which one you're talking about. A brother died, and I'm not going to mention. Well, for one, I can't remember his name, but a brother passed away, and his, I believe, caretaker knew him for years and wanted to be part of the Masonic funeral service.
Okay, no,
So
I did something
they-
different. That's
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
So
the
he
one-
was made a Mason at sight, but he went through all the rituals.
The one we're talking about is we had a brother of ours. His son wanted to be a Mason, but he was going through some sort of I forgot what the sickness was.
It's some type of blood disorder where
Yeah.
he was in and out, and they decided the best way to handle it was to do the Mason on site thing with the Grandmaster.
Yeah.
And actually, the kid,
He had
the
blood
brother,
cancer, right?
yeah,
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 blood
Yeah, I know what you're talking
yeah,
about.
but actually, they're both doing real good.
Yeah, they're both doing great. Like he like.
Yeah, the kid's like in college,
Yeah,
working at a
he
gas
did-
station. He's like nailing.
Yeah,
it.
it's
Awesome.
like
Yeah,
it worked out great. You know, I mean, we're you know, I'm happy it was done because like at the time it wasn't good, but he made a recovery and like they got everything under control. He's doing really good. Every time we see his father, we talk to him, we ask him about him, and he's telling us he's doing great.
Yeah, and I love his father so
Yeah,
much.
I
I
love
want to
his
call him
father.
out by name right now, but I don't want to because of reasons.
Yeah,
No, yeah.
But just because you're made a Mason on site doesn't mean all of a sudden, oh, you're going to the moon or you get, more privileges or anything else. It just happens to be that
It's a matter of circumstance.
his brother, who's an astronaut, was made a Mason
Well,
on
I
site.
don't even know if he was. I think he was made a Mason before he was an astronaut. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Well,
That's fine.
President Gerald Ford took his Royal Arch degrees in the Oval Office, and that really had nothing to do except I think when else was he going to get those degrees if the guy's going to roll by when he had a couple hours to do them?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're supposed to be, I don't want to say a private thing, but a personal thing. But if you can't get out to a lodge,
It doesn't get more personal than the Oval Office, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's very-
that's your
Get
personal
out of here.
space.
Yeah,
So
that's wild.
I'm just saying, dude. Tricky, slick. What was Bill Clinton's joke name?
Slick Willie.
Slick Willie. Hey, I don't mind. I like a full figure
he
gal.
wasn't an astronaut, but he sure was up there.
All right, so John Glenn, man. So he also donated his 33rd degree ring and his cap, and his ring he wore into space and into a bunch of other different stuff, but he donated both of those to the Scottish Rite Valley, so they're being preserved so people can come and check them out.
That's cool.
Yeah, I remember seeing something on YouTube about that. I'm like, I didn't know. I knew the flag was there.
in DC when you go to the House of Ten, there's so much stuff in there.
Dude,
It's
you want to
insane.
see an impressive ring collection is there.
Yeah.
Like in their library, wow. Like there are some rings there that I wouldn't feel safe walking around with that thing. Like
I mean, what I was into more was the Edgar Allan Poe first editions.
yes.
They had. Those are
yeah, and that was
Crowlers.
Pike's. They have
yeah,
Pike's
probably.
personal library in there.
Yeah.
And yeah, being inches from a first edition Edgar Allan Poe, that is something. That is something. Like you could have reached out and touched it, but you're like, hey.
But he didn't go in space. He just wrote down.
Well, I'm just saying, but it's something cool. But like on the way through, like going through everything that we did, we end up in that one room where they had a bunch of Buzz Aldrin's stuff, and I remember seeing the flag, the contraption or whatever that it was on or whatnot, and I was like, wow, that's something.
That's been on the surface.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know.
Space
It's like,
dust on
yeah,
it.
space dust on it. Yeah.
We done with Glenn?
Yeah. Go on to the next guy.
Okay.
Oh, real quick, guys, I did have that young lady's name.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I do
Bring
want to
her-
mention it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, it's
definitely.
very important.
Dorothy Metcalf Lindenberg. Two really cool things. She was one of our Rainbow Girls, which is one of our Masonic youth groups. And she's actually one of the few space camp kids ever to actually make it up there.
Oh, that's
She was
That's
the first
super
space
cool.
camp alum to actually go to space.
That's super cool.
So Dorothy
That's super
Metcalf
cool.
Lindenberg, shout out to you.
yeah, big shout out.
All right. Captain Edgar Dean Ed Mitchell. Here's a note. Mitchell took the iconic photograph of Al Shepard raising the American flag on the lunar surface with Mitchell's shadow in the frame. Mitchell is a member of Ardesa Lodge number 28, Ardesa, New Mexico.
Okay.
So every time you see that putting it, this
That
is
was-
the
that was-
brother.
that was-
That was
That was
the
Mitchell, huh?
astronaut photographer,
Yes.
Freemason.
Wow, that's so cool. That is so cool to
I
hear.
never knew that.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, look, dude. There's a lot of things I didn't know until
he was
we
born
decided
September
to do this
17th,
episode. So.
1930, and according to this, he's still alive. I don't know when this was published, but
Okay.
So, I mean, from the most part, we have Mercury, Gemini, Apollo, we have Skylab, we have Apollo 14, 15, 11, Apollo 1. I mean, dude, there's a lot of Masons out
and there was
here.
brothers in each of those.
Every
missions.
single one of those.
That's awesome.
And the lady I just referenced, she was in stuff in the 2000s.
Okay.
She was actually on Discovery in 2010, so that's recent.
Wow.
Yeah. That's very cool.
That
And I know some people are gonna watch this. Well, Rainbow Girl's not a brother, but I'm gonna count her.
No,
insane
she's
amongst
still
our-
part of the.
Yeah.
She's part of the
Masonic family.
She's
Yeah.
Masonic family, dude. That still counts.
I mean, don't you have to know a Mason to do that?
You got to
Or
be
used to be like that?
you got to be related I believe.
somehow, some way, a Mason in your family. Well, somebody in your family had to have been a Mason.
Or I think
that's how. It
that's the
goes.
Jobs.
That's just
Jobies?
just Jobies.
Jobs.
Oh, okay.
I forget what's what.
Rainbow could be anybody.
Oh, okay.
Rainbow can be
okay.
anybody. Okay. Our producer Dave just said if you're a Rainbow Girl, it doesn't matter if anybody's a Freemason in your family, you can be a Rainbow Girl. But with that, we're gonna have to take a break. Time's coming up. Cameras are gonna shut off. It's turning red. So we'll be right back. And we're back. We left you talking about Masons that were astronauts, but if you didn't know, or whether you believe it or not, we landed on the moon in 1969, and that was July 20th. And on that day, Buzz Aldrin had special deputization from then Grand Master J. Guy Smith, constituting and appointing Brother Aldrin as special deputy of the Grand Master. So in other words, he had
Grandmaster powers.
Yeah.
exactly to make a lodge on the moon. Now there isn't a building or anything
No.
from the way I understand it, unless they carved it out of moon rock.
And that's one of the things in the Tranquility Lodge things that the founding of Tranquility Lodge under the auspices of the Grand Lodge of Texas, number 2000.
It would be Texas that did it.
Yeah,
too.
any
would be.
Master Mason can join their lodge. I believe that they had quite a huge amount of people, members of their lodge.
I don't know that.
It's like $25 a year or something like that to join.
but we should.
Oh, that's not
stipulate
bad.
that.
That's kind of cool.
Nobody's broadcasting or going to the moon for
No,
these meetings.
no.
It's
And
actually
no,
4
it's-
annual meetings a year.
Absolutely.
So
Okay, so I mean, yeah, they don't. Okay, so there is not a lodge on the moon. Well, there is. Figuratively, there is. You know,
There's a speculative lodge.
there you go. But where do they actually get together then? You know, since we can't go up
it's
there.
in Texas.
they travel.
Yeah.
Different
Oh, they
parts,
travel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Different
I
parts of
believe
Texas.
there's a secure Skype or something too, like a tile. There's a tile that they call in or something.
Okay.
I believe. I'm not sure though for Tranquility.
But so one of the cool things that I did see about Tranquility Lodge, though, can't even find it. Yeah,
I don't mean to cut you off.
No,
but okay.
go for it. Yeah.
Tranquility Lodge number 2000 or 2000, as we would say here in Illinois, is based in Texas under the auspice of the Grand Lodge of Texas until such time as the lodge may hold its meetings on the moon. Our meetings are held quarterly at various cities in Texas, with the annual meeting being held in Waco each July.
And so Waco is, that's exactly what I was looking for. Waco is where where Grand Lodge of Texas is at.
Okay.
We've had a few visitors from Waco to our lodge, and I talked to them about it.
Yes, we did. But I just don't remember them.
They came to Joliet
Saying
for
if that
the
was-
drag racing
They were part of the drag race.
NHRA?
Yeah,
Oh, that's awesome.
So they looked up our lodge and came, hung out with us, and they were in Joliet for a couple weeks. They came to a few of our meetings.
Well, if you're actually going out there to race, you're setting up camp.
That's exactly, and they were really cool. Him, his brother, and his cousin or something. They were all Masons from Texas.
Awesome. What I was really surprised from, I'm like, okay, these guys are from Texas. Everything's got to be cool. We didn't know they were coming. They're like, the food was great. I'm like, oh, thank God.
I love the food. Yeah, the pizza, the Italian beef, all that stuff, man. They were stoked.
Look, you know what? Because you know what? When you travel somewhere, you don't want the food that you normally have back home.
Yeah.
You want to know what what are the people here eating. You want to know what the people here are eating. You know,
I like my pizza cut in the shape of flying saucers.
Oh yeah.
Sure, if you started the conversation that way, those Texas boys, they're like,
we found the wrong lodge.
Can I get the pizza in the shape of a flying saucer?
Well, on Halloween, man, you got to call a Pizza Hut and be like, can you guys cut all those pizzas into pentagrams for me?
Yeah, I don't know why we're saying we're going to call and we all do this.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right?
Anyways.
Okay, so what about him going to the moon and like having that kind of a power? Like, so all the conspiracy theorists that I'd said, they all talked about the Masons in space when they went there. On the 32nd minute, they went silent to the 33rd minute when they were in space or whatever, because they did a special ritual, a moment of silence or something like this. And so a lot of people say that because in Masonry, we take that first step with our left foot, that by him taking the first step onto the moon's surface with his left foot, that he was kind of signifying that it was going to be some kind of a ritual, you know? So when I tried to figure out this Masonic ritual in space and think of how awesome if he went out with an apron on
Oh my God,
and set the Scottish Rite flag out and did the whole works, you know, that would be amazing if that were
Dude,
really
that would have
true.
been, you know
If
what?
that were true.
Yeah, if that was for real, that would have been so cool.
But
I would, yeah.
Exactly. But there is a slight kind of cool thing in so what happened during that moment of silence and that pause for prayer is he actually smuggled up communion, and he did a prayer and took communion on the moon, and to be the first person to do that as well.
take that, space atheists.
Wait. This is the first time I did not know that.
He brought a tiny
I didn't
vessel
know
of
his
wine
religious background,
and
but-
brought a small wafer and did a communion ceremony during that moment of silence, personally to himself and to some of the NASA staff and stuff like that. So the same thing with the Scottish Rite flags and the jewels. They were allowed to bring a little bit of personal artifacts up in a small pouch on their suit that they could bring up. But the thing is the way that they had it, I don't think he actually drank the wine and ate the wafer. I think he left that on the it was like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that is cool, though.
That is super
corn,
cool.
wine, and oil. That's what he did. Yeah, I'm sorry. I completely had a brain fart there. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it was a corn wafer.
And you're like, wafer. I'm sitting here thinking that he's like taking communion. Or,
Yeah.
You know,
But it was symbolic of that. But
No, he did that, and he did the corn. I heard. I was able to read a little bit about it.
How he said it, I'm sitting here thinking.
Yeah.
Oh, you think he popped off the
Catholic
helmet?
and
No, that's
That's what I'm thinking. I'm such an idiot.
Dude.
Don't anybody agree with me being an idiot, please. I already know. All right, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, since it was filmed in the desert, I mean, he just popped his helmet off.
I mean, yeah. On that sound stage, you know.
Yeah.
Whatever. Look, you know what though? I'm going to say this. I think it's hilarious that Texas is the state that did it. You know, they're always talking about, you know, everything's bigger in Texas, and they're always trying to secede. So, you know, it's like,
I don't know.
Well, and you know, from the things, you know, Houston, we have a problem. You know, like that's a whole. Texas has a huge stronghold in the NASA history. So, you know, that Florida, there was a couple states that I found had. How come there's such a weird connection with Freemasonry in Ohio, man? All the mound areas out there, it's like, dude, there is some crazy stuff going on out here. Because a majority of this list, I'm like, Ohio. I'm like,
There's a lot.
how is the membership? How is the membership in Ohio?
it's good. It's definitely big.
Okay.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things. They do the Camp Masonry. They do a couple of really cool things out there. I mean,
I never heard of that.
What's up with that though? What is they have the Air Force Base out there?
I'm sure they got an Air Force base.
Yeah, it's a big one. They say that's where they brought the aliens from Roswell. After,
Oh God, yeah, they did.
you know, the ancient aliens dudes always say that. They're Wright Patterson.
That dude.
But dude, you think about it though. Rob
Deer.
Dyrdek from Fantasy Factory. So he has a skateboard company that he owns called Alien Workshop. His dad was a fighter pilot from that Air Force base.
Oh wow!
So, dude, there's a lot, and that's why they named it, because they used to make jokes about that back in the day.
Dude, everyone knows there's a lot of stuff in the sky we don't talk about. And now you can find it if you Google it, or what's that new search engine you just talked to me?
DuckDuckGo.
DuckDuckGo. They're supposedly recording from some of the space missions where they're saying, "Hey, they're here. We're not alone. We got to bail."
Yeah, there's a number of things where they
and some videos too.
No, this one is like I know
they
you
come
can't say a lot
off
dumb
of
shit.
the
This one
public broadcast or
Hey,
the
man, I'm just
public
saying.
frequency, and then they switch because something happens.
But
You can find some of that stuff on YouTube.
It's up for debate. And Buzz Aldrin, if you're watching this, which I'm sure you are, why don't you just shoot us real? What's up there?
Buzz, are you a fan? Do you need a shout out?
Buzz, do you need a hug? Do you feel alone? Do you feel like you have information about the aliens? Share it with your friends. Yeah, Refreshment podcast. We love you, Buzz.
I love it.
So, okay, Tranquility Lodge 2000. Can anybody be a member of this?
I think any Master Mason.
No, you got to be a Master Mason.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Well,
I don't think
I should say.
I don't think they have the power to raise anybody either. I don't think they do.
Yeah, I believe anybody that is a Master Mason can join online. It's not on here.
So
I
does
thought it
that
was on
classify itself as
All right,
like
so wait,
an
so wait,
Infinity
so they're-
Lodge
so-
or whatever they're
Probably.
called?
Are they not?
think
They're
so.
they're not really like a working lodge.
No, I don't believe so.
You know what? I did not see that. That's a good
I
question.
thought it was something you joined if you're already a Master Mason.
If you're
Okay,
a
is that
Texas,
what it is? That's the.
excuse me. If you're a Texas Mason or a Mason of Tranquility Lodge 2000, if you're watching this and you can answer some of these questions, please feel free to leave a comment. If we're completely wrong, don't let us know, but make it look nice.
Well, I tried to look around to see, if there was somebody maybe we could reach out to for a guest. And I mean, I seen articles from Chris Hodav's blog. I seen a bunch of Freemasons talking about it, but I didn't see any actual astronaut Freemasons out and about, actually, talking books and going on the net.
Once you're really in the club, you
Yeah.
shut your mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not really.
The Space Club or
The real space club.
Yeah.
real Space
Well, you join the Masonic club, then you join the space club, and then you shut your mouth.
You get that top secret NASA.
Yeah.
But with that, there are a number of conspiracy theories out there against Freemasonry, and there's just there are some wild things out there.
All the negative stuff about Masons always boils down to, at some level of power, there was a Mason, so now I deem it to everybody.
Yeah.
Now, realistically, I know as many successful Masons as I do Masons that are pretty much like kings of the pyramid schemes and, barely making it to lodge and blah, blah, blah. I think there's a lot of stuff you can learn in Masonry that you can apply to other parts of your life to be very successful. I think that's one of the reasons you see it. That's me personally, though.
Yeah, for sure.
So, there's this one critical timing of landing on the moon.
Yeah, okay.
NASA's links to the number 33.
Okay, that's what I was. No. I know. This sounds
Buzz
crazy.
Aldrin's Masonic
But listen,
mission.
you guys. So when I was coming through that's what I said. During the 32nd to 33rd moment of minutes when they were on the moon, they did do that moment of silence. That was a weird coincidence. 32 to 33. Okay, I give it to the conspiracy theorists there. One of the other big ones that I've seen in that is that they took off on a 32 as well. Do you have the exact?
Well, according to this website, according to many researchers, exactly 33 minutes after landing on the moon's surface, Buzz Aldrin performed a ritual inside the lunar module. Officially, Aldrin was taking communion before leaving the module to explore the moon's surface.
Yes, and that's what we were talking about this
but
so-called
supposedly.
ritual. Because if you're reading and you see ritual, you're like, Masonic ritual, yep, it's there, But when you start hearing about it, and then you kind of hear about how he brought his faith like to space with him, and like, dude, it's way bigger than that. It's not just some crazy thing, It's something that it meant a lot to him, and he chose to bring that up. Some people chose to bring some Lucky Strike cigarettes up, even though they couldn't light a fire or smoke them. They brought them just to say that, hey, I brought this into space.
Yeah.
Okay. I was trying to proofread this before I read it. Communion on the moon and further links to Osiris. After landing, but before leaving the craft for the moon's surface, the Apollo 11 crew took part in a small communion ceremony. According to official records, this was probably not surprising as millions of Americans do the same thing as part of their faith.
Yeah.
However,
Big conspiracy.
The rite of communion dates back beyond the Catholic Church to ancient Egypt. So sinister. The ceremony has its roots in the secret societies that existed during that time, and ultimately, according to many researchers, which it doesn't give any of that, spawned the lodges of Freemasonry around the world today. Oh my gosh.
So blanket statements of hollow information.
Exactly.
Blanket statements.
Big segment. Oh my gosh, it dates back to ancient Egypt.
Yeah.
So does walking on 2 feet.
Yeah.
And the funniest thing is,
dates
dude,
back to ancient
I
Egypt.
brought this
Oh my
book
gosh.
for that one thing just so people would see this one Masonic book about that, and I put it out here because it has them wearing the aprons, doing the
Your
grip.
house was made out of bricks, and it goes all the way back to Egypt, you Egypt worshiper.
I just
don't know
seen
where
so
people
many
come up with this
correlations. Yeah,
crap.
there were so many
Dude, but
correlations.
there's people in their mom and dad's basement, like freaking stuffing their face with Cheetos and drinking Mountain Dew.
know.
Being like, I'm gonna make up some shit today.
Wiping off the dry on their.
Oh my god.
Dave can cut that out in the editing.
No, he'll put the ducks like he's been doing.
He'll make it louder.
Yeah.
So there is just some wild out there. And here's another one. You talked about this a little bit. Freemason symbols left on moon surface. Did you come across anything?
Look,
Absolutely.
you know what? Wait, hold on, real quick. Wait, no, you don't. Go ahead. Go ahead. You want to talk about that real quick?
No, go
No,
ahead.
he's
dude.
going to talk so I can proofread this so I know what I'm talking about.
No, go for it.
Okay, look it. I'm just gonna say this.
Say it.
All right, we're all Freemasons here. Just
Since
put.
when?
I know, right? Just put us in their shoes. The four of us are astronauts. You know. I know it's funny. I know it's funny.
Dave, oh gosh.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you.
At least he wasn't eating and give Jamie more to clean up.
I know, right? Like seriously, think about it for 1 minute. Okay, we're up there. You got your cane with you. You don't think you're gonna draw a square and compass up in the dust up there or whatever?
I'm probably.
You don't think we're gonna leave? You don't think for 1 second we wouldn't leave one of these?
Yeah.
No, because
up there.
my dumb ass would be thinking, oh my
think
gosh, I
hundreds
might
of them.
fall down, even though it'd take me like hours to fall over.
But the gravity, yeah, dude. I don't even know.
Look,
if you need
I'm
the
just
cane.
saying, dude. If I was going into space, I would. There's a few trinkets that I'd bring with me.
Let's talk about Wes's disability being in space, and he's never gonna there. Space.
Hey, wait a minute. Space, wait, hold on. Space may help you, actually. It might help you. You might never fall down again.
None of us should say
I
we're
already-
not going to space because right now the privatized civilian space market is getting very aggressive, and there's a good shot in our lifetime that going to space might not even be that big of a deal.
I mean, I'd probably buy a Tesla though before I go to space. Before I buy that SpaceX ticket, I'm probably just gonna buy an electric.
You know, that'd be funny though. You know, think about it. It's like, you know, our grandkids are gonna be going up to space and like they're going up there.
I
to, like,
mean,
see
maybe,
Moon
dude.
Disney World.
I hope so.
You know, and be like, and then we're gonna be sitting there being like, "What's wrong with Earth Disney World, you little son of so and so?"
I remember when the internet was invented.
Yeah, I know. Oh God, yeah, I do. Oh, that's terrible.
Everything came out.
I remember when Al Gore used to be cool.
You know how many times I've been around this planet was going to be dead in 10 years?
Yeah.
We've been living in a time. The apocalypse has been a moment away since the written record.
Yeah,
That's just how we are as a species.
I remember when the year 2000 came around, either a meteor was going to come around or the Y2K.
Yeah.
Because your computers couldn't say 2000, everything was.
You know, my favorite one was what was it back in 2012?
Oh, the Mayans.
The Mayans.
Yeah.
Like, dude, and everyone's freaking out, and I'm like, it's stop, guys. Stop.
Yeah.
There's nothing to freak out about. I'm trying to explain to them, dude, it's just a new cycle. That's all it is. And everybody's like, no, the Mayans got it. We're gonna all die. I'm like, no.
Dude, when I was a conspiracy theorist, dude, in probably like 05, and I heard that, I was like, oh shit, I'm going to start looking into the Mayans, man. And I don't know how many of those Zachariah Sitchin's books I read. And I'm like, wait a second, dude. This is a calendar, man. I'm like,
you're Hispanic like I am, dude. Like, tell me some of your white friends didn't come talk to you about the Mayan shit, right?
Yeah, we all became experts.
Yeah, all of a sudden, if you're Hispanic around that time, you became an expert, and everyone came to you, bro, man, what's going on? Are we going to die? Are we going to blow up? No.
They're coming to you like your friends. Like, hey, how you
did the Mayan calendar?
Yeah, like I haven't talked to you for, and they come up to me, they're like, hey, so the Mayans,
real,
you know, it's like, oh God, shut up.
Funny, when the day the apocalypse comes, none of us are going to be ready for it.
No. Look, when it comes, it's going to come, and that's it,
dude. Those dinosaurs didn't know that. Asteroid was
exactly.
Coming. The apocalypse comes for everyone, but only individually.
Hey, man, it's coming right now in the form of a virus, so everybody better watch out.
Yeah, shout out to all my homies in China.
Jeez, man.
Oh, wow.
Stay safe out there, man. Wear your mask,
seriously,
man. Stay off of public transit.
Yeah, if you got a spacesuit, get into it.
Yeah.
Oh,
that might be the only thing.
Wes, real quick before we take another break, me and the lady the other night went to dine at our favorite Cantonese restaurant. Uncle Mao was by my house.
Uncle Mao?
Uncle Mao's. Yeah. Usually...
Is that the name of the place?
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
It's good.
It's very good. Usually...
They give you a red book when you walk in the front door.
It's usually hard to get food out there. It's like a 2-hour wait for takeout. It's super jam-packed. All I'm saying is, ain't no one was in there while this Wuhan thing was
That's probably a big hurt on business, I bet.
Well, dude, really Chinatown is hurting real bad, bro. Like, nobody is going to Chinatown.
We got to take a break, so. All right. Excuse us, but we got a break again. We'll be right back. And we're back. We're still talking about Space Masons. And
Space Masons.
Yes, I love it. Space Masons. So none of the space exploration would be possible without one man, Jack Parsons. Now, as far as I know, Jack Parsons was not a Freemason, but he was into a lot of crazy stuff. One of his good friends was Aleister Crowley. And at one time, they did think that Jack Parsons was going to be the successor to Aleister Crowley and the OTO. But his rocketry and inventions were very big and very influential to von Braun, who actually made our rockets to get us into space, into orbit, to the moon, whether you believe it or not. But Jack Parsons was a very interesting individual. If you don't know anything about him, I do suggest looking him up. It's very fascinating.
Yeah. And there's a recent TV show called Strange Angel or something like that.
It lasted one
I think
season
that's all about,
like that.
it's all about Jack Parsons' life and about his little OTO chapter and stuff like that they had in Pasadena. But so a couple of the cool things about Jack Parsons is very similar to Nikola Tesla, about how he would have these dreams and he'd be like, oh, dude, I already seen in my mind what this would be. So
Akasha record.
Jack Parsons would do certain esoteric ritual styles. And when he was developing these rockets, the way that he introduced the fuel and stuff was built in a pentagram fashion, and he's seen these things in ritual and stuff like that and applied these systems that he was learning into his rocketry and stuff like that. And I think with the philosophies that he was learning from Crowley and some of the studies and just that that freedom, that's one of the things that really set part. And Parsons, everybody always talks about him and L. Ron Hubbard and their little circle and all the screw overs and all the crazy stuff that happened in there. But they met in science fiction. Science fiction was one of Parsons' hobbies that he enjoyed, and same thing with L. Ron Hubbard and stuff. So the way that the old school science fiction inspired these guys to think of space, to do rockets, and how to make that, and how that was going to translate into the future.
Jules Verne.
Science fiction is a lead into science fact.
Absolutely.
Because science fiction starts with imagination. You dream it, you conceive it.
The impossible is only impossible until the impossible is achieved.
Yeah. And we see that every time, especially with sports is what we see it most here. There's combine scores athletes put up now that seem unreal because a few years ago they weren't. Like, Usain Bolt's not going to be that fast of a runner one day. He'll always be better than the average, but no matter what, when you get to A, someone's going to B.
Yeah.
That's just the way life whirls.
Yeah.
Hey, I heard somebody said he was DJ and he had a Masonic ring on.
Who was?
Usain Bolt.
I can see
Really?
that.
I don't know if he's a Mason, but I heard somebody
I just want
said
to know
that.
why everyone that does anything remotely interesting is a DJ now.
Yeah. Both those shows,
I'm not so
man.
interesting.
Like the fat guy from Pawn Stars. What's his name? Dooley or Chuli or
Chumley.
Chumley, yeah, he's like
Dooley.
he's DJing now, and I'm like, okay, cool,
Making money, man.
What? I'm glad
Making
for
money,
him.
dude, right?
Yeah,
Weren't you saying that a minute ago? Make money?
I
Yeah.
never really thought I would be a DJ, but my DJ name would probably be DJ Cripple.
That's funny. That's funny.
So,
To be
but
honest, there's probably far more better cripples that could DJ.
hell no, there
probably already
isn't.
somebody
Why would you
DJing
say
that.
such a thing?
Because I'm just saying, you're not that crippled and you're not that much of a DJ, so just let someone else have it.
Yeah.
Anyways, when we're talking off camera, Brock, you had brung up the sun and moon symbols in our senior deacons' rods or their aprons.
Yeah.
Want to elaborate a little bit more where you were going with that?
Okay, so my thing is, we're talking about space and Masons and masonry and space, and that being a new frontier and a new thing that we want to sail into or whatever, blah blah blah. But there's also a lot of things in Freemasonry already that are very, very heavily solar referenced.
Yeah.
So I can think of multiple things within our ritual. There's several symbols. If you look at a past master's apron, it will have the little curved bar under with the sun. Like Wes was saying, the junior and senior deacons are the moon and the sun, as on their apron and on the rods. There's certain things about how the master sitting in the east rises as the sun rises. There's certain things, even the way that we travel people in the lodge in a more orbital fashion.
Yeah.
There's so many things in Freemasonry already that have existed in Masonry before people were even going to space.
Yeah.
So when you see that influence in there, it's a little esoteric, but there is a heavily solar influence.
It's astrology, man. I mean,
Well, you look at the St. John's.
Astronomy. There you go. Thank you so much.
But if you look at everything since the dawn of time, we've always stared up to the sky for answers, be those spiritual, scientific, or I mean, for my, how I look at the world, just take all those like things that separates those between science, spirituality, all that's just separate because they're actually one and the same. But I mean, even the story of the rods that the two stewards have and the two deacons have tells the story of the gift the sky gives us, because you have the water spilling moon in the west. You have the sun in the south. When those two mix, that leads to the harvest that fills the bountiful,
It goes into the stewards. It goes,
Yeah.
exactly. It's the progression down the chain.
And that's pretty much like the gift that, we kind of get from rotating out here in the sun and everything. There's a big symbiotic relationship, and we're definitely part of it. And it has a lot to do with the sun and the stars and what goes on well behind there.
Humankind, before we came up with this great invention of technology and TV and stuff, we used to be well more in depth to nature, our surroundings, and everything. The TV was the sky.
Yeah.
And a lot of people nowadays, well, how did they get this done back then and this and that?
They had to.
Well, not just that they had to, but what else were they going to do? They didn't have TV to go to and waste their time.
Or even books, man. There wasn't even a printing press that early.
And they were teaching each other by this and that.
Yeah.
And look.
And symbols.
Look. Instead of, let's just watch this and get my knowledge from there.
But if you didn't know the movement of the stars, it would be hard to tell when to harvest your crops, when to plant your crops.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, there's so many things that, and not only that, another thing that we didn't even really touch in that's huge into this topic is, you know, people sailing around in ships and stuff, and the way that they use the stars and all this. There was another weird commonality that I seen that I would also kind of like to mention this. There's a weird vibe that everything that I've read about space is set as an aquatic journey almost. Like when you read about JFK's speech when he's talking about going there, we're going to set sail. All these things where it's like, it's very referencing that as if space was almost like a liquid, you know, like, not saying
no, I understand what you're saying,
like
but
in the writing and in the metaphors, it's like that.
Well, there's no land out there, so we can't
us
use
on a
references.
boat, cruising through the ocean, discovering something new. Us cruising through space, discovering something new. Like it's us gapping that 300, 400, 500 years ago to when that was relevant to now with all of our technology. We're just traveling on a vaster ocean kind of thing, you know?
Well, you know, sailing, being on the water, that was during, you know, back in the day, that was a big, you know, major traveling was done by boat, by ship, and now we have space ships.
Absolutely,
you know,
all of it is very, very referenced that.
Yeah,
and that was just something that I kind of thought was kind of cool, and it's kind of like a little homage to that. I think, you know, I don't think like the conspiracy theorists will say, "Oh, it's because liquid's a space and it's beyond the firmament," and it's like. You know, okay, or it's just symbolic because that's how we, like you just said, you know,
we didn't know what else
that's how we did it. You know, like that's what's up.
I love anytime I hear the firmament because I follow so much stupid flat Earth stuff, and I really do. Not that I believe it, I just like to read up on it. And all those dudes, I would say 50% of the flat earthers on Instagram. Always make this like a Freemasonry thing.
Yeah,
but there's always like one part I read a post. I'm like,
well,
okay,
because when you don't know what you know, you just let's just throw Freemasons out there.
Jews.
Sounds good.
Those are the two. It's like to those Freemasons and those Jews. Yeah. It's like I'm like, dude, simmer down.
Well, calm down.
I was just gonna say, when I was going across my research, I did find a few Jewish people wrapped up in NASA, but I found more Freemasons than I found of literally almost anybody else. There was more Freemasons.
So are you saying NASA's anti-Semitic?
No, I'm not. I'm saying I found a few, but I'm not saying it's all just a cabal of Jews controlling something. It's not all just Freemasons. There was a lot of physicists, scientists, microbiologists. There are so many other people that have been to space that have nothing to do with Freemasonry, that don't know anybody who are Freemasons, who have been to space, who have been to the moon, who have done all these things. So it's not a grand Masonic conspiracy. Period.
It's just easy when you don't understand to point fingers at something else that you don't understand.
Well, everyone likes a good boogeyman.
It's easy.
Yeah, it's true.
And we see a lot of culture now. Like, how many times have you been presented with something wrong in society, and when you're like, oh my God, who's causing this? Well, they are. There's always a they.
Yeah. It's them.
They, them.
It's just it's the way our stupid lizard
the
brains
royal
compute
we
stuff.
Yeah, we're never gonna get around that. I mean, I personally believe we went to space, we landed on moon and all that. I don't know what you guys think, but
I
can care less if Freemasons had anything to do with it.
The moon landing is a big thing that a lot of people disagree about, and it's something that's pretty prolific on YouTube if you look around. Let's go around real quick. Let's give our opinions on what we think the moon landing actually was. I'll start. I think the moon landing was 100% real. I think the astronauts that were presented to us were 100% real. However, if it came out that what they presented us wasn't the real trip, it was a secondary one they made just to present something, I would believe that.
Okay.
And if you want to comment or make a comment back to me, please feel free to do it. But I believe we went to space, but I think there's smoke and mirrors with everything.
I'll go next. I totally agree. I think that there's definitely smoke and mirrors with everything. If we did go to the moon and everything is what they say and whatever, then yeah, that's definitely plausible. My biggest thing on the moon whole deal is if they did find something like you're saying that was so crazy or something so wild, would they even tell us that? You know, like
No, because they're already afraid that society would collapse.
so
and all
like
the
that's the only weird thing. But I don't think it's a Masonic conspiracy. I don't think they called up the Sovereign Grand Commander of the Inspector General of the Scottish Rite. Can we say, you know, it's
I got that phone call right here.
It's the fact is like maybe NASA or whatever. Who knows? They could have discovered something, microbiology, or who knows what could have been out there that they just don't know enough about it. I don't know. But do I think we've traveled to space? I would like to definitely think so. And if we're going to travel to space, I think the moon's the closest thing, and we're going to want to land on
If
that.
you had to ask me my real opinion, I think we've gone past the moon. I think we've done other stuff we haven't talked about yet.
I would agree with that because, I mean, how many secret missions have, you know, like United States have that we don't know about? Does our government,
every day,
whether, you know, being a conspiracy theorist or not, isn't there some things the government probably shouldn't say so everyone else doesn't put it on freaking YouTube?
Yeah.
I mean,
or freak out about.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, like, if you really think about it, like, say if there was like some really, really like, they really found something crazy up there, you know, and they came back and just told everybody, the masses would lose their mind.
You think they would?
No, they would. They would, dude. If
they played that space station that we've seen that on the dark side of the moon video,
they show that alien with the bones around its eyes and
they
stuff
show
like
you that giant space station, and you're live in '69 watching your TV screen. You're like,
no, even now,
smokes.
even now, if they were like, if they all of a sudden just dropped the bomb, be like, aliens are real, everybody, and here they are, dude. Everybody would lose their mind. Okay,
Maybe.
but now, but now, like, look at if, like, say, I know this is gonna be really wild. Like, say, all of a sudden, like, a group of people just burst in here real quick, be like, hey, we got to tell you guys something. We're like, okay, what's up? And they start talking to us, and we're like, okay.
Donald Trump's on a UFO right now.
Or like, you know, they're like, look, we got an alien with us, and we want you to see them. And we're like, yeah, okay, dude. And all of a sudden, boom, they pull off like this sheet, and there's like an alien there. Like, we'd probably be like, whoa, at first, but being that we're not the masses, like, we'd be like, okay, the shock is over. So how are you? You know, what brings you here?
So
you know,
you guys believe in aliens? What's our alien thoughts?
I'm 100% on aliens.
The universe is so massive. There's got to be.
I do not. I cannot believe that. In my belief, in my religion, I can't believe that God, in His vast wisdom and knowledge, that He just made us. I full-heartedly believe that there are other beings.
All I know
is I really truly do.
Go ahead, Mario.
Aliens are here. They've been here. Chariots of the gods. We've been interacting with them for longer than we think.
Yeah.
And all these technology booms of this last 100 years are definitely something else.
But not one of them has brung a freaking lightsaber.
Give it time, Wes.
Yeah,
Give it time.
No. If they land here and they ain't got a lightsaber, you better go back and bring that shit back here because we've been waiting for that way too long.
You tell them, Wes.
Yeah, you bring that lightsaber. So, anyways,
we're back. Like you guys all said what you had to say. I believe that the moon landing happened. The way they show it, the way it happened, I believe that. I truly do.
Yeah.
You know,
there's a lot of smart minds.
Maybe have they gone up there without telling anybody? Yeah. You know, did they maybe seen something up there that they didn't tell everybody?
So you're saying like a secret mission to the moon that they didn't tell anybody about?
Oh,
dude,
the video I showed you, Apollo 20, that's supposedly one of those secret missions.
Wow. But see, that's the thing is, like, why is it? I mean, I get it. You know, it's like they didn't tell anybody, but why is it a secret? They just didn't tell anybody. Do you tell everybody when you go home and use the bathroom?
No.
Yes.
I mean, did you take a secret poop? You know, like how many of those are you keeping from us, man? You know, it's stupid things like that.
Well, okay.
Be like, oh, they went and did this behind our back.
Hey,
what do you mean?
I got a secret shit for you.
Yeah, no, it's just like, all I'm saying is this. It's like, just because you don't tell everybody something doesn't mean it's a secret. You don't tell everybody everything that you do every minute of the day, every, you know, all the time. You
Plus,
don't.
they're a government. You know, it's their a chapter or chunk of our government or whatever. However, what is NASA even classified at? Are they part of the American government?
No, they're not.
NASA was
It's not a
always
government.
kind
It's
of
their own
auspicious
deal.
in where
Yeah.
they were.
yeah, no, it's
And
They're
now-
not like a military branch, though.
No,
yeah.
but now if you look at the rest of space travel is going to be private.
yeah.
Now
Well, what
it's
about SpaceX or not SpaceX? What's
SpaceX is one.
No, I know that, but I'm talking about what's our new Space Force and whatever.
Oh yeah, Space
okay.
Force.
Yeah.
Well, that's military.
When Trump came out
Whether
with
it becomes
Space Force-
fruition or not, that's military.
But are they talking about shooting down asteroids with Space Force, or what are they talking about?
Von Braun said.
Ooh, yeah, you're going on. some
Von
gnarly
Braun,
stuff here.
because you said that, and we'll try to end this after this. Von Braun told one of his colleagues before he died, I think like 10 years before he died or something like that.
Yeah, she was like
If
his
the government
trainer or whatever.
or the world, whatever, ever says that there's an alien invasion, don't believe it.
Yeah.
So you can,
what's that
you can
lady, though?
I
He's
can't
not
remember her
a-
name. I should have looked it up.
Why, though?
What is it?
Why?
Okay, so what she had said is she referred to, I can't remember her name either. I called her trainer because all the people on the conspiracy theory sites were like, it was Von Braun's handler and all this crazy. I'm like, dude, she was just a lady out here, man, who was helping an old guy in his later half of his life, man. He was telling some wild stories and she's talking about him. You know, that's it. But yeah, he definitely, so what they say is that on his gravestone, Von Braun, he has a comment on there about the firmament or something like that. And about the fakeness of some, I can't remember the exact thing. I read it in my research and it was a little bizarre that I was like, oh, that's a little cryptic coming from a head scientist of the V2 bomber or V2 rockets.
V2
and then,
rocket.
came to NASA and brought us, to the moon. So with the Saturn rockets or whatever. So it was a little weird to see that and whatever. But like Wes is saying, she did say that. He's like, we're going to say that we're going to be fighting meteors to shoot meteors to protect the planet. And next it will be to weaponize space against aliens or an alien invasion. So, well, you hear about Project Bluebeam and all these weird things that people talk about holograms and fake crap all the time,
Even right now as we record this, the big thing is that radio signal every 16 days that's coming from space right now.
Yeah. It's just.
And what could that be?
Maybe they want us to bring a lodge out there. Who knows?
Bring the lodge to the moon for real.
But Dave said something interesting, and maybe you guys could look it up. You can see the American flag on the moon from a telescope.
With the right telescope.
With the right telescope, excuse me.
Not just any telescope.
I know, you just can't
Yeah,
go to
go to
Walmart.
Walmart.
Yeah, you can't go to Walmart and pick up a telescope. No, you
$40 deal.
Yeah, get the
Get
$40
the right telescope and let us know. But it's going to be that time again, guys.
Oh, I brought a friend for shots. Can I bring him in?
Yeah, come
Bring him
on.
in. He's a friend of Walmart. He's a brother. Come on in, Juan.
You know what? I just want to say something. This is going to be I can't wait to watch this episode. This is going to be a really...
It's all over the place.
Yeah,
but
it's
dude.
so all over the place.
But
I
dude,
can't
there's so
wait.
much interesting stuff.
Yeah,
man.
it really truly is. It really truly is. And that's
Hey,
why
we belong.
I love doing this with you
belong in
guys.
space,
Hold
man.
on. Well, Juan, thanks for coming in for this shout out and shots out. This one goes out to Tranquility Lodge number 2000 or 2000 and all the brothers that have been involved with NASA. This is you.
Ooh,
Thank you to all you
Can I get a
guys.
shout out?
Sure.
Yeah.
To all those Russian cosmonauts that died because communism doesn't work.
Cheers.
There you go, guys.
Oh, I'm
Clink,
doing some bad-
clink, clink, sorry.
Clinkety, clinkety,
Sorry.
clinkety.
Oh,
Same time.
no, same time.
Oh, that's going to bring me to the moon and back. Well, with that, that's the end of our episode. We're on camera. That's the end of our episode. Everyone, thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed. We'll be back with more episodes from the Trial Club here at Manny's house.
We'll see you on the moon.
Take care.